is just fantastic. Captain's Log, subdates 21207.1. As Ensign Bork's quarters are now full of rhubarb crumble, om nom nom nom, and the empty vessel is full of moistmas cheer, I've relocated his quarters to one of the plasma vents. I hear they're fantastic for skin peels. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Twice I have done what is called a content constable on this channel on a YouTuber called Nikocado Avocado. It is rare that those videos become undone with time, but with Nikocado, something has become undone, and it needs to be addressed. So I decided to call this Mukbangers Wives. Kind of like Desperate Housewives and ISIS Wives. Just, you know, the enablers. Because there are 3 of them, and I think they're interesting enough that we should definitely dive into them. The first is, well, obviously because of Nikocado, Orlin. Because I had a lot of sympathy for you, originally, and over the course of 2020, you've managed to undo that, although to be honest, you undid it when I did my first video. But something went awry in my head and I didn't realise soon enough that I could have just flayed you in a segment. So instead, Mukbangers Wives Episode 1, Orlin. So for those who don't know who Orlin is, perhaps a brief history. Orlin is the part-time actor from the amazing primetime pay-per-view hit series, Slappy Chappies, on Nikocado Avocado's channels. I say channels plural because it could be 1, 2, 3 more and so on. There are actually quite a few of them, where they frequently bicker, argue, slap each other, chastise each other, bully each other. Basically, you will find within this primetime pay-per-view series every trope you can imagine from every soap. That would include cliffhangers, sex scenes, TMI, obligatory infidelity, and of course some catty slappy fun times. In the earlier years of Slappy Chaps, many people would take Orlin's side because of how melodramatic the character of Nikocado Avocado was. It's very hard to be on the side of someone who constantly frustrates you. So whenever they broke up, a lot of those that supported Nikocado would then support Orlin, in solidarity with the fact that Nikocado couldn't keep his tackle in his pants, or stop being a massive dick. So with Orlin being the beefcake that is as much a part of Nikocado's soap as Nikocado's farts, they have always gone through openly their ups and downs, and if stuff is private, they'll bring it up in their very well-structured mukbangs, because that's all they do. Which is unfortunate because it has led to them getting a little more unhealthy as the years have gone by. Granted, there are health concerns, but in my mind, it is not enough of a valid excuse because you are so codependent on one another. Therefore, you are enablers of each other's more negative traits. And that particular personality trait is actually quite common with all of those who are the mukbangers' wives. Orlin very much enables Nikocado because, as Orlin is very much a co-producer, possibly co-owner of this entire franchise, he very much knows and is aware that he has to keep things relevant. And what makes Nikocado relevant is when he starts having meltdowns. For various reasons. It could be something as trivial as him blinking out of sync. As long as he cries and has a meltdown, those views will come in. That is essentially what has kept Nikocado going, along with the fact that he keeps rebranding with newer channels, which smash it for a while before something forces him to make another. I assume demonetization, but I can't be sure. For Orlin, he has his own channel called Orlin Home, where he very much does the same style of content, usually complaining about Nikocado, because that's the views, yo. He also links back to a joint account Teespring merch store, which has me wonder if he's a part owner of that or just too much of a boomer to remember to change that to his own. But as he always ends up going back to Nikocado, it's also possible it's just a part of the soap, yo. With Orlin and Nikocado being incredibly codependent, almost symbiotic in their way they behave around each other, towards each other, even when they're not actually anywhere near each other, cough cough, let's just say a camera's distance. The more recent giveaway to me, because I hadn't been paying too much attention to them, that they very much fake all of this, which further proves that they are nothing more than primetime pay-per-view. The pay-per-view we'll get to in a moment, I promise, is the fact that not only do they use the identical set to do all their mukbang videos, it's also the rather opportune jump cuts in either of their videos done solo, which is more than likely an indicator that somebody on the other side of the camera couldn't bite their tongue any longer and wanted the videos to be a little spicier than they already were. Interestingly enough, I'm not the only person who believes this. In a more recent video put out by Orlin talking about how he cheated on Nikocado, you can hear a chair creak in the background. People in the comments noticed that. They don't believe anything anymore. There is zero pity towards you, which means in the long term, the law of diminishing returns is going to come into effect. And when it does, you'll have to create another channel or insert a new character. Might I advise some form of Time Lord regeneration of about £200. I mention pay-per-view, and this is another aspect where you know they very much exist for each other and for all the money. Nikocado has an OnlyFans, and if you're brave and do a very quick Google search, you'll see a whole plethora of content that should be on OnlyFans and should not be obviously freely available, because people pay for this, right? If I need my sarcasm signed for this, do let me know in the comments down below, as Orlin features in a lot of this content, along with essentially being the main backdrop to all of Nikocado's pantomime being that rather entertaining, mildly slapstick comedy-style play that put on every year around Christmas, prior to sheeple crowd control. Granted, I haven't looked at Nikocado's OnlyFans ever, so I'm not entirely sure if he has featured recently at all, but he has featured. He has featured in content long before OnlyFans with them together, images shared also via a very quick Google search. I am not showing these images on purpose, by the way. I'd very much like to get this monetized. I'm that guy. My criticism of Orlin when it comes to this video is the fact that no one believes anymore that you are an independent person worthy of anyone's sympathy. You lost the sympathy, not only because you kept going back, which baffled everyone when you put him on blast along with himself putting himself on blast for all the people he cheated on you with, all the bad things he has done to you. The fact you stayed through it all. This isn't a 1980s, 1990s and prior unhealthy relationship where you stay together for the children, or the dogs, the cats. I don't know if you still have that pet bird, and if that pet bird is the reason you two are still together. But, as I've already stated, I'm more inclined to believe you two are happy together because you exist for one another. Proof of that is in your content. At least 2 to 3 times a year, Orlin and Nikocado break up, and then go through the reconciliation process that, I'll be honest, is cringy but does bring in a whole heap of views. Yes, the pros and cons, the ups and down votes, the increasing negative comments you get because people are done with your shenanigans are increasing, and they're going to continue to do so because nobody cares anymore about the relationship. They're only really interested in the compilation videos that you can freely find on YouTube of you two fighting, throwing food at each other, slapping one another with your hands or with a broom, whichever's easiest to obtain, acquire and use. My biggest problem with Orlin isn't just that he is a part of the show, it is the fact that after all these years, he is now, to me, just as bad as Nikocado, which sounds like a rather brash or bold statement. But having recently watched a whole mountain of his content so I could fully understand just how bad he's got, I feel no pity towards him because this has happened so many times, and because it is clearly put on.